Long before the modern United States was formed, the land was divided into small territories and powerful regions. In one vast and beautiful area known as the Golden Plains, there ruled a strong and mysterious king named Alexander Rayner. King Alexander was not an ordinary ruler. He was brave in battle and wise in judgment. People admired his courage and respected his leadership. His palace stood high on a hill, overlooking the endless fields below. On top of his head, he wore a magnificent golden crown, but this was no ordinary crown. Legend said the crown had been given to his ancestors by an ancient tribe. It carried a sacred promise. As long as the king ruled with justice and fairness, the crown would shine brightly. But if he ever ruled with cruelty or ignored his people's voices, the light of the crown would slowly fade. In the early years of his reign, King Alexander was fair and kind. He lowered taxes, protected farmers, and strengthened his army only for defense. The markets were full of life. Children played freely and songs were sung in his honor. But over time, things began to change. In the northern territories, people started whispering about unfair laws. The king had begun listening more to his powerful advisor, Lord Matthew,
I see the
a man who
devastation with
believed
my own
fear
eyes.
was stronger than
Your
trust.
suffering will not be
Lord
forgotten.
Matthew convinced the
We
king
will
that
have
strict
justice for this.
control was necessary
My
to keep
home
the
is
land
gone,
united.
Your Majesty.
Soon, heavy
Everything I
rules
had
were
is
placed on the
burned.
northern villages.
Why did this
Taxes
happen to us?
increased, soldiers patrolled the streets. Fear slowly replaced peace. One night, the king stood alone on his balcony, looking at distant fires burning in the north. Those were not ordinary fires. They were signs of rebellion. An old royal servant named Edward quietly approached him. "My king," Edward said gently, "the people are afraid. They feel unheard." The king sighed. "Everything I do is for their protection." Edward lowered his head, but spoke bravely. "Sometimes, Your Majesty, protection without listening
We
feels
strike
like
here at
control."
dawn. They won't
Those words
expect the
stayed
northern
in the king's
approach.
heart.
Once the king
Days
is
later,
dead,
rebellion
the throne is
officially
ours.
broke out. A young leader named Daniel stood before the northern people, speaking with passion and courage. "We are not enemies of the king," Daniel declared. "We simply want freedom to decide our own future." When the king heard this, he made a surprising decision. Instead of sending more troops, he secretly traveled north in simple clothes to see the truth himself. What he saw broke his heart. Burned homes, crying families, fear in children's eyes. An old woman sat in front of her destroyed house. The king, still unrecognized, asked her softly, "Who did this?" She replied with pain in her voice, "The king's soldiers." The king felt his world shaking. For the first time, he realized his orders had caused suffering. He stepped into the crowd the next day and revealed his identity. Gasps filled the air. "I did not come to fight," he said loudly. "I came to listen." Daniel stepped forward. "Then give us the right to govern our own lands. Let us have a voice." The king hesitated. Sharing power meant weakening his throne. But before he could fully respond, dark news arrived. Back at the palace, Lord Matthew had declared the king weak. He gathered loyal soldiers and claimed the throne for himself. The kingdom fell into chaos. With the help of Edward, the king escaped through a hidden tunnel in the palace. He fled toward the mountains, where the ancient tribes still lived. There, the ancient tribal elder examined the golden crown. Its light was almost gone. "This crown does not represent power. It represents responsibility. You forgot that." Tears filled the king's eyes. "Can its light return?" "Yes," the elder replied, "but only by ruling, not by serving." At that moment, news arrived that Lord Matthew had attacked the northern territories, trying to crush the rebellion completely. The king made his final decision. He returned, not as a ruler demanding obedience, but as a man seeking forgiveness. In the city square, he stood before the people. "I was wrong," he admitted. "If you no longer want me as your king, I will step away, but I will stand with you against injustice." His honesty shocked everyone. When Lord Matthew's soldiers marched into the square, something unexpected happened. Many soldiers lowered their weapons. They had seen the truth. The people united. After a short but intense confrontation, Lord Matthew was arrested. Now the crowd turned to King Alexander. "Take your throne again," they urged. But the king removed the golden crown and held it in his hands. "No," he said calmly, "from this day forward, no single man will hold absolute power. The people will choose their representatives. Laws will be made together." The crown was placed inside a glass chamber as a symbol not of control, but of a lesson learned. Years passed. The territories slowly united under a new system built on shared power and freedom. And from those foundations, the land eventually grew into the nation we now know as the United States. The forgotten king was not remembered for his throne. He was remembered for the day he chose justice over power. Because true greatness is not in ruling people, it is in listening to them.